Good morning.
Hi, very much so. It's a good morning. That's right.
So,
Here in
s-
Melbourne, Australia, it's wonderful to be here with you, Helmut.
so sunny Australia. What time is it now? 7 o'clock?
Right now, it is 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 o'clock. Oh, and thank you for waking up that early.
No, that's okay. I'm used to getting up early. I'm working in different time zones and everything, and uh, it's just the nature of our industry. And it's one of the great things about the industry as well. Not the time zones necessarily of waking up early in the morning,
Okay.
but having friends all over the world.
And what is your usual day? What time do you usually wake up, and what's the usual scheduler?
Yeah, typically speaking, I'm up about around 5:30
Okay,
each day, and
5:30.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So I have a lot to do, and there's a and I like getting up early. I used to be a night owl, and I used to go to bed at about 3 in the morning, and
Okay.
I found that that was not as good as getting up earlier.
In
So I
in
go to bed
regards to in
earlier to
regards
get
to
up.
productivity or something else?
Yeah, productivity. And I also like getting up early because you get a whole lot of time just to yourself. Like one of the things I think is vitally important for any entrepreneur is is to make sure they're spending some considered time every single day learning and reflecting and spending that time. Like some people would say meditation or something like that as well.
Yes.
For myself, I spend time every single day, and I begin to sort of read books or dig into things, whether it be economics, whether it be business models, whether it be what's happening socially to the social construct in the world, and particularly Western civilization. All these different sort of things I like to read into, because that gives me then, and also I like to take a look at, boy, I look at everything from rockets and how to
Okay.
build rockets and what SpaceX is doing, right through to the StarCraft 2 e-tournaments. Um, so find I look at a
Wow.
whole range of
Yes.
things, yeah. and uh, and the reason why I do so is, and I also get a feed of the latest breakthroughs in science, and I read through that because when you get all these different inputs in, I find with your when you get into your sort of business mode, because I think about, okay, what have I got to do today? What's the things I've got to think about moving forward? In the case of ParkLogic, and quite often those other industries, they may have solved a problem we could be wrestling with, and I find that's really quite interesting. And so by getting a diversity of inputs as an entrepreneur, and looking at what's going on in the world, it can really assist enormously in your own business. Yeah, so I enjoy doing that. Like I read a lot of business books and business papers and stuff like that. Because I run a weekly show on Clubhouse called The Complete Entrepreneur.
Yes.
Um, and The Complete Entrepreneur is at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and for an hour. And I run it with some of the founders of the Dot Club, Colin Campbell, Jeff Sass,
Wow.
and Michelle and the team. Uh, it's a great show where we explore not only what does it mean to be an entrepreneur and all the business sides, but we look at the life of an entrepreneur. And that's the thing I think is really important is that when you're an entrepreneur, say like myself, I've been since I was 16. I started my first business when I was 16. I'm now 56. You learn a lot of things on that journey, and it's a great time. And one of the things I learned is make sure you grow yourself in front of your business, and really think about what's happening in your life. And like I said, all those different things. That's why every day you ask me what I do each day, and I always start the day off with that.
What was your first business at 16, when you were 16?
It was a business. It was with a friend of mine. We made a
Okay.
board game. It's called Frontier Publications,
Board
and
game.
it was just a lot of fun. We built it's actually a card game, and it build the board you played on out of the
Yes.
cards as the game progressed. And we had to go along and raise $4,000 in capital to be able to do it. Remember, so I'm a 16-year-old, and so we borrowed $4,000. My dad guaranteed the loan, and which is amazing when I look back on it. Like
Yes.
he guaranteed the loan, which is fantastic. And it was the best learning experience I've ever done in my life, I think, um, because I learned about things like inventory control, production, marketing, sales, accounting. And this is a 16-year-old. I remember I put together my first cash flow when I was there. I was that age, 16 years old.
Wow.
When I was on Lotus 123, I did a projected 2-year cash flow, and so I learned all about doing that sort of stuff, and it was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was really worthwhile.
And
Yeah.
how was the business? What were the results?
The results, it broke even, which is amazing.
Man, very good.
Yeah, so it broke even. We didn't. We When it's funny when I was reflecting on it the other day, and I thought, wow. Um, we had some offers from some big companies around the world to go along and take on the game and everything like that, and remarket and everything like that. Um, and we said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to go along and sell them from Australia, and we'll ship them to you. It was just, when I look back, it was just so embarrassing. It was like, my gosh, what? But yeah, it's very naive. But we're 16 and we're full of energy, and we're full of that entrepreneurial spirit. It was great. Yeah, so that was my very first business, and it was I loved it. And if you've got kids, let me tell you, and if any of them have any drive to start a business, then back them in the beginning. Let them have a go.
Of
It's
course.
amazing what they'll learn.
Let
Yeah,
let them make the first mistakes. Of course, that is very
yeah.
interesting.
It's incredible.
Let them discover the problem situations. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's and particularly when kids are young, it's things go wrong, and in business, as we all know, at various times, some things are in your control, some things are completely out of your control. Yeah, um, and it's just good just uh, letting them go wrong when they're young. Just before, because you can always pick up the pieces. It's great. One of the things I love about if you look at the whole legal sort of system, even if
Yes.
it goes dramatically wrong, and you go into bankruptcy, let's imagine you end up going into bankruptcy or something like that, then the law is set up so to encompass that fact that you can go into bankruptcy. Yes, there'll be some things that you've got to do and some restraints on yourself, but you can come out of it and you can start again.
Of
And
course. Of course.
which is amazing. That concept is phenomenal. That whole sort of idea that society will let you try again. Yeah, it wasn't too many years ago that if you went to bankruptcy, you'd be thrown into
Oh,
slavery off your debt.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's some amazing concepts in there. In I think that
Humanity is getting better and better with decades. Not with years, but with decades, maybe.
what is getting better?
Humanity
Oh,
as a whole. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Like you look at humanity, like in the media, it's portrayed as all sorts of disasters and all that sort of stuff. And right now, there's a terrible situation with war in
Abs-
Ukraine, and everything, which is terrible. But what people I think need to understand is that right now there's less wars in the world than there's ever been,
yes. Absolutely.
and as horrible as any war is, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's not to downplay that. But there's a fraction of the wars and everything like that, and there's more people being lifted out of poverty in the last like 100 years than the previous 10,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
so good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Today we have a fantastic guest, Michael from ParkLogic.
Yeah, it's my privilege to be here, though, Helmut.
And today we are doing a live stream, ParkLogic for newbies, like me.
Yep. Yeah, sure.
And I have to say that I'm running an experiment as well with ParkLogic. I have 180 something, the 2 letters, different CCTLDs. Put a ParkLogic. We'll go through the first numbers. We'll try to understand what is going on. And
Okay.
Michael, first things first. What is ParkLogic?
Okay. The good way to think of ParkLogic is been around for the last 15 years.
Okay.
And is a meta parking program.
Meta
domain monetization program. Yeah.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? Is that, let's imagine you work with a traditional parking company, Cedo, Bodus, Parking Crew, or something like that, and you put your domains with them. That's great. That's a good thing to do, by the way. Particularly if you're starting out and you're small, I would encourage you to go ahead and do that.
Yes.
All right. What a meta parking company is it takes the domain traffic inbound. In a space of 100 milliseconds, we work out who's going to pay the most for that piece of traffic.
Okay.
And we then shoot it off to, say, one of the traditional parking companies, or it may go to one of like 20 different or global advertising networks. And basically, we're very mercenary. Whoever pays the most for the traffic gets the traffic. And so we're very mercenary like that. And we're doing this constantly. What a lot of people don't really, I think, realize is that is a very dynamic thing, and that the traffic is constantly moving, like who the winner is. Okay. And whether it's, so you think about the auction process, the traffic comes inbound, and the floor price of the auction is the best Google-backed parking provider. That's the floor price.
The best.
We
will see. I will have lots of questions. And I'm sure that our users will have questions as well.
Yeah. So it's
why is it the best? Why it is better than Bodus?
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Okay. Bodus, by the way, it does a great job.
Yes.
They do a fantastic job. So does Cedo. So does Parking Crew. I'll pick on those 3.
Yes.
They all do a really good job, and they're very close partners of ours.
And here's exactly this question. How is ParkLogic?
So the thing to understand is that if you put your traffic with, say, a single parking provider, we have all the numbers, and we know the best parking provider at the best point in time will only win 25% of their traffic. So if you put all in the 25% of the time, so if you put all of your domains with a single parking provider, 75% of the time it can be doing better elsewhere, and that's the best case scenario. 75% of the time. And by the way, if you're putting all your domains with a single company, then please let us know, and because we have people who want to buy your domains. And why is that?
Can you repeat it, please? Once again,
if you are putting all your domains with a single parking provider, we have people who would like to buy your domains. And the reason why is because what you're doing is you're leaving a lot of money on the table, because they'll move the domains on, say, to ParkLogic, and they'll get a much better return on the investment. And why? Because we take the traffic inbound, and we have a real-time auction process. If you put all your domains with a single parking provider, there's no auction process. You are locked in. There's no auction. There's no every 100 milliseconds who's making the most for the traffic.
Okay. And now you're talking about Bodus, about ParkLogic, about Cedo. Yes.
Yeah, Bodus, Parking Crew, and say Cedo. I'll pick those 3. And
Yes.
once again, I want to emphasize something here.
And all of them are awesome companies, of course. Absolutely fantastic. Yes.
They're great
Yeah.
companies, right? Like so, it's funny. I was on a stage with those companies at a conference one time, and someone. There was another guy. He was trying to create a bit of a stir and everything like that, and said, "Oh, all these parking companies are hopeless and all that sort of stuff and everything." And because of their contracts with Google, they really couldn't defend themselves. But we're not in that position. All right. So I just got up there and said, no, they all do a fabulous job for the traffic they win. For the traffic they win, they do an absolutely brilliant job. And sometimes they win traffic, sometimes they lose traffic, and that changes all the time. It's very dynamic. If you're sort of thinking, like, I get some people say, oh, well, I test my traffic here, I test my traffic there, and I do A/B testing, and if the win's over here, then what I then do is then I put the winners at that particular company, say Cedo, and then I test with Bodus then and then Park and Crew, and I put all the winners there and I lock them in. I can guarantee you that's the worst possible solution you can get. And the reason why is because it's so dynamic. It moves. Forget the fact you aren't exposed to all the global advertising networks. You're exposed to the single provider called Google, ultimately.
Yes, yes.
Forget all of that, right? But it's the worst possible solution because the traffic, the winner can be Bodus one day, literally Park and Crew the next. So you have to build systems and algorithms and all that sort of stuff like we've done across 15 years.
So those three companies they sell the traffic to Google mostly. Yes.
Yes, they're obligated to sell.
Okay. Oh, so they are obligated. And what about you? So you have a contract with Google as well, do you?
No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't. And the reason why is over the years we were approached by Google and we said no.
Okay. That's interesting. That is interesting.
We make more money without them. And we value our partnerships. You see, the thing we see is, like I said, Bodus, Park and Crew, and say Cedo, they all do a great job. And they develop their own intellectual property to do a good job, particularly with different types of traffic and that sort of thing. And we see there's value in that. If they add value, they'll win the traffic. If they don't add value in particular types of traffic, they don't win it. It's simple as that. Like, we're very mercenary. As I said to one company many years ago, they said, oh, can you send us more traffic? And I said, yeah, not a problem. We'll send you a lot more traffic. You just need to pay more for it. Like, it's as simple as that. Yeah. And or I said to another company, I said, you'll get exactly how much traffic you deserve. No more, no less.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that if you win the traffic because you bid the most in the auction, think of it like that, then you'll get it. Otherwise, you won't.
Okay.
It's an auction.
Yes.
You will get exactly how much you deserve or how much you win. And you won't get any less, or you won't get any more.
Okay. Here's
every 100 milliseconds. So
yes.
Yeah, what is your pay percentage? Yeah, how much do we pay out? This is an interesting question. And I remember one time I answered at a NamesCon. A person asked me, so what's your commission? And I said, well, we take 80%, we pay out 20%. And they said, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Everyone else is the other way around and all this sort of stuff. And I said, well, hang on a second here. I didn't tell you something very important. We increase your revenue by 100,000%. And he sort of went, oh. And I said to him, the question you're actually asking is, will I earn more? That's the question.
Okay.
The question I'm asking, will I earn more, would say, with ParkLogic than putting it with one of these other companies?
In the end of the day, people, all they care is that they are
That's
making
what they
more.
care about.
Yes.
It's not a commission rate. By the way, we don't take 80%. That was a thought exercise. We don't. But it is normally the other way with us. We pay like a significant amount. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. The question is, will you earn more? So people have sometimes have this mistaken thinking that I'll cut ParkLogic out because
Yes.
remember they're a minute company, right? That we're up here. I'll cut their commission out because I'll go direct. That's actually a really flawed thinking, because if ParkLogic adds value, then it deserves its commission. If it doesn't add value, we do not deserve our commission. So why have we been here for 15 years? We work with some of the biggest domain owners in the world because we add value. That's really,
Okay, Michael. Let us get back to the numbers, if I may.
yeah,
And whoever is watching, of course, good afternoon, good morning, and this is your chance actually to ask your questions, ask the questions about the parking and the ParkLogic, of course. So let us say I would like to buy 100,000
yep,
unique visitors from Ireland
yep.
a day. What would be the approximate price I could get them from you? So I'll be asking two prices. So I'll be asking the price if I want to buy that purchase, if I want to bid for that traffic, and then if I have this traffic, how much would I be making? And that will help us to understand this question. Does it make sense?
Yeah. There's two parts to this question, and I didn't
Yes,
quite
of
answer
course.
that well, and then I'll
Yes.
come to your question. Is what's our typical commission? We
Thank
typically
you.
pay out 80%.
80%.
Typically,
So 80. So typically it means plus minus 80% go to the traffic providers.
80% goes to the domain
Domain owners.
investor. Yeah, that's correct. Typically
Oh,
speaking.
that's magnificent.
Yeah. Typically speaking, we that's what we do. It depends on the size of your portfolio and that sort of stuff. So now to
Thank you.
answer your question
Yes.
about if I have 100,000 people
Yes.
going to my domains,
And
uh,
that is actually a question I'm truly interested in Irish traffic.
yep,
Me
yep,
myself, and in reality, yes, I'm interested into reselling. I have a buyer, and
yep,
I could stand in the middle. I could buy traffic from you and sell it to a client of mine.
yeah. Okay, so let me answer them two ways.
Okay,
Um, you can't buy traffic from us.
I cannot.
You cannot. And the reason why is this:
Okay.
at this stage, this may change in the future,
Yes.
but
Yes.
at this stage, and the reason why is we work at such mass scale. Like um, we have about 8.5 billion requests at our servers every day, approximately speaking. That's a lot of traffic, right? So we work at mass scale, right? So and because we work at mass scale, we work with global advertising networks. We don't work with an individual who wants to buy 100,000 pieces of traffic. Um, yeah, that may change in the future, but not at this stage. So everything for us is all about scalability. How do we scale? And what's the best way to scale? Things like that. Now, on the flip side of the coin, if you have 100,000 pieces of traffic and you're wanting
Yes.
to monetize that, okay, now let me answer that question. Uh, and I'll answer that one in multiple ways. The first one is that DNS requests 100,000 per day? Is that raw traffic
Raw
100,000 per
traffic.
day?
Raw traffic. Raw traffic.
Okay. Or is that views that advertisers recognize as human traffic? Which number are you going to choose? That's the first question.
Unique visitors. Unique
Unique
visitors.
visitors. Okay,
Yes.
unique visitors. So what you're saying then is, and by the way, that's an
Not not
important
not 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 bots, and definitely not bots,
yeah.
and unique visitors. Yes.
To give you an idea, like the percentage of traffic that's bots out there is
Oh
massive.
God.
It's
Oh
way
God.
over 90%.
Oh God. Yes.
Yeah, it's massive. So that's why I asked that question. Okay, so if you go to domain, it's got 100,000 unique visitors per day. The next question I'm going to ask is that finance traffic? Is that gaming traffic? Is that music traffic? Is that um, selling desks for home offices traffic? Like what traffic is it?
Okay. Yes.
So it gets segmented down. And so one of the things with ParkLogic is people say, well, what's your best traffic? Like what type of traffic do you guys want? I don't care as long as it's real traffic and real humans wanting to get to real destinations. And then we'll monetize it, and we'll monetize the best we possibly can. And whether it's either with any of the global advertising networks, any of the traditional parking companies, whoever it is, we're after real human traffic. If it's real human traffic, we can monetize it, and we can monetize that better than anyone.
Okay, which advertising networks are you working with?
Which global advertising networks?
Yes.
That's something we do keep to ourselves.
Okay.
We have a very large list because it's with those partnerships, and so we don't release that information.
But they compete with each other.
Of
I do
course.
not know that market really much, but still,
Yeah, they definitely compete.
having a really limited information, they like to have the monopoly on relationships. They do not want anybody else.
So to give you an idea, for particularly during COVID and recently, for ParkLogic clients, and we do a monthly get together Zoom meeting, and we release a whole lot of information about the market. And like, what is the percentage of traffic that Google wins versus the global advertising network,
Yes.
as an example? All that sort of stuff. We release that information for our clients to help them out. In fact, I think you were at that meeting.
I was
Yeah,
really interesting and different
yeah.
and several. Yes, please continue. Yes.
So our view is that when someone comes a part of ParkLogic as such, our goal then is to empower them as much as possible. So it's not just, okay, I've got my domains, I want to park with you and forget it or something like that. Put our domains with you to monetize. What we want to do is work out how can we help them out. So we had just recently we had an event that Helmut was at, and I took the attendees. There's quite a good number of them at the event. Took them through what we see at a macro level is happening in the industry. And so what percentage of traffic is being won by Google versus direct advertising networks? How much revenue are they generating versus each other? And all sorts of really important numbers. And
Yes.
looked at it across time and then said, how does that relate to the impact of COVID? For instance, right now, the numbers in the advertising space are really soft. Like they're depressed. It's depressed for a couple of reasons, I think. The first one is it's the northern hemisphere summer.
Okay.
The northern hemisphere summer, everyone goes outside. Yeah, and they're in the sun. They're not sitting on their computers. That's why I love the northern hemisphere winter. They're looking at their computers, so it's much better. And that has typically speaking, it has about a 10 to 15% impact on numbers. This year, it's much higher. It's actually higher. And I think the reason for that is because particularly the US has moved into a recession. So we can see those numbers. We can see that. It's funny when I was doing I used to do a weekly video on the numbers and everything like that during COVID because I was very concerned for our clients. I'm thinking I need to release this information out there.
Yes.
And at the beginning of COVID, because I think the whole industry was thinking, are we going to exist in 6 months? Yeah, everyone was worried about that. Oh yeah, because when you looked at the GFC, the 2008 there was a dramatic downturn. It was just like bang, fell off the edge of a cliff. The industry because marketing managers stopped advertising and that sort of stuff. But with COVID, it was very different. Like we built up a bit of a war chest as such at ParkLogic, and so I sat down with my business partner, and we looked at things and said, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. Like, are we going to be using our war chest to ride it out?
It could go both ways. It could go both ways.
Yeah, it could have gone both ways. But I remember sitting down with my wife, and we looked at the news one night, and this news reporter was interviewing a guy, and he had a skateboard shop. He's selling skateboard stuff and everything, and he was closing it up. And the reporter said, "What are you going to do now?" And he said, I'm moving everything to my garage at home, and I'm putting it all online.
Bang.
I thought, that's interesting. And then literally the next night, there was a very similar sort of story. And I thought, wow, that's very interesting. So when I looked at the numbers that we're seeing at a macro stage, because we have such a massive amount of traffic, we can see this. What I saw is slowly but surely the earnings per click rate went up. Now, what's the earnings per click? Earnings per click is a measurement of advertiser demand. All these small to medium-sized businesses began going online. They had no choice. They wanted to keep their business going, and no one was walking past their store. And they thought, I need to go along and build a website if they hadn't done it before. I need to work out how to buy traffic. So they began to work that out. And it was really interesting. We could see this in our numbers. And the big advertisers stopped advertising. Like for quite some time, Amazon just said no more advertising. And so they exited the market.
Really?
All these small advertisers, yeah, they came onto the market, and we could see there was massive demand began to come in. But more than that, there was massive traffic because everyone was told you have to go online and quarantine and stuff like that. You go into isolation and all that. Yeah. And so we had all these big plans at ParkLogic, what we plan on doing. This is just before COVID and our development schedule and everything. In the end, we had to shelve all of those. And we spent the next 12 months just scaling, just building out and building out and building out and scaling and keeping in front of that demand because there was massive traffic coming in. It was just, it was phenomenal. And he had massive pads. So everything just ramped right up. And I remember it got to about 10 months or something like that into the pandemic. I don't have my numbers in front of me. And the big advertisers sort of began to come back. They sort of looked around and said, who stole our traffic? Like we used to get this traffic for like 10 cents. Now we're paying 15 cents for it. What? Who did that? And so then it was another surge that came through as the big advertisers came back into the market. And then we saw Omicron come through. We could see it in our numbers.
Yes. Okay.
We could see and this is where, remember I said at the beginning of this conversation, I talked about looking at the social changes. One of the things that I monitor is social changes because that's a leading indicator of what would happen
For
to
example,
earnings per rate, CTR, all that sort of stuff. A social change is something like a new version of the COVID virus.
okay, yes,
Like it's a massive social change. You got a massive social change hit when we saw the Ukraine war start.
yes, okay,
Okay, there's a social change occurred. You've got another massive social change happening with things like Black Lives Matter, with trying to think some of the other ones. When you saw the recent recession, and so I'm constantly like in the mornings. I talk about my time as an entrepreneur.
yes.
I'm picking up on those things, so I can then go along and feed them back into our clients to help them in their businesses. And that's what I do. That's one of my key roles. Yeah, because I want to give our clients a massive competitive advantage.
Michael, Vaza says, right, that's it. I'm moving. So he's moving in. So let us return to ParkLogic. And good evening, good afternoon. This is your chance to ask your live questions. Please go to YouTube, and there might be some issues with Facebook times by times. And just go to our YouTube stream. Type in HostMaria, find the stream, ask your question, and I will put it on the screen, and Michael will answer them. So if somebody, so now, what Vaza should do? What would be your advice? So a person hasn't ever used your service. Vaza, maybe you could type into the comments how many domain names do you have?
Yeah, so if I could, is there a
So
comment
what's
list I can look at here? Yeah, there's the comments. I wasn't seeing the comments
bang?
before.
Yes, yes.
Hang on a second here. Okay, so there's the comments.
They
Okay.
can be a bit distracting though, but that's fine. That's okay. Today it is all about the comments. So to all the viewers, please ask your questions. Don't hold them back. Just shoot them out.
Yeah, shoot them out. Shoot them out there. Yeah, yeah.
So
It's an interesting question. There's a couple of things is that we would recommend is we
yes.
have typically a threshold. You need to do like $250 a month in revenue already. If you're doing $250 a month in revenue, then or more, then please knock on our door.
Okay.
And if you're on this channel, by the way, then what I suggest is you go to ParkLogic.com, apply for an account. Then when you apply for an account, just put in the list of domains, saw Michael on the YouTube channel. Just
Okay.
put that there.
Yes. Yes.
And
Okay.
the reason why I say that, and that's very important, is a part of our anti-fraud systems and everything like that. And I don't want anyone here to get caught in that. So saw Michael on YouTube channel or something like wherever you saw me. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And
and
HostMaria's live stream, and that's it. A bot wouldn't will go to 35th minute to find this text. Yes.
Yeah, so I encourage you to put that in there. So we actually typically reject. We get a lot of applications. We reject like 98% of people.
Really?
Yeah, there's so much. There's
Okay.
a lot of fraud. There's a lot of people out there who. I'm a strong defender of our industry. Our industry, in the domain industry, that is
That
one of
is
the
why
most.
I chose you. That is why I chose you, Michael. I did some background check. Sorry, I do apologize. I did interrupt you. But what won you over? Two things. Sedo, as much as I love them, their support was ridiculously horrible for the first time, and I just thought, okay, I'll try out I'll try ParkLogic, and I did some background check, and you were very local on your values on different domain related blogs and news sites.
Yeah.
I was
It,
checking your comments as well. That's an interesting, and that is something I really, really, really liked.
oh
I
well,
kind of
thank you
clicked.
for that. It's important for us. Like to me, the domain industry has given me so much, and I'm very proud of our industry. Yeah, and and what I don't like is fraudsters, because a person who comes on board and they commit fraud, whether they have bot traffic and they try to go along and get money out of the industry or something like that, what it
Okay.
does is it reflects badly on us all, and it's actually stealing money from your pocket. And I don't like that. I remember I looked up there was a hacker forum or something like that, and they're getting very angry in the forum. There's a thread because they couldn't get a ParkLogic account because we approve each one personally. Yeah, and
Yes.
that's and I was very proud of that. Yeah, because we don't just let anyone get on board. We're very careful
And
because
fraudsters create lots and lots of trouble and
oh
problems and stress, and time wasted on them is absolutely ridiculous. And they can't care less that they are caught. They
yeah,
are just
I
trying to
remember.
squeeze 1 or 2 days out more.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. I remember uh, this person who looked like everything was right, and we checked them out because we do a due diligence on the person.
Okay. Oh, as well.
Yeah, and so we checked them all out and that sort of thing, and it looked okay, and they had fraudulent traffic, and we have sort of all sort of checks and as the traffic came through, um, and. We closed their account down. We said, no, we're not having this. So we closed their account down, and they got very angry at
Okay.
us.
Really?
They went to some of the forums and everything like that, and they complained, ParkLogic stealing my money. I'm going, okay, if you're going to have a go at us, I want to go you with data. Let's just show you where your traffic's coming from. There's all bots and everything like that. And they got even more angry, and I said, look, you're never going to get paid because we will never pay a fraudster. I don't care. We will never pay. Number one. Number two, because that just encourages the business model.
Yes.
Number two, I'm going to sleep really well tonight because I've done a good thing and I've got rid of another fraudster. And I left it as that. It's just,
Michael, I understand you.
yeah,
I remember when we started, so we were getting lots and lots of people in, and then there was this one guy. We did close his website after we realized that he was offering null software. So lots and lots of stolen stuff he was offering on our cloud, and that is a big no. We are very clear. Good websites only. If you are looking for something shady, there are tons of them, not on our cloud. And so we closed down our terms and conditions. We closed down your account, terminated, everything is good. And he did not agree. And he said, look, everything is fine. That is nothing bad. Internet is free. Everything is good. He went to all the possible places where he can leave a review. We didn't have accounts there, and he left accounts for us at every of them with 1 star.
Yep.
And then he was really pissed that we did not provide him even the backup. But why should you provide a backup for a criminal?
No, you shouldn't.
I kind of gave up, and in the end, I gave him his files and said, "Look, you are not welcome here. Do not come ever back." But
that's the right approach. And I look at the domain industry. There are so many wonderful people in the industry.
Yes.
And I'd love to do business with those people. Why deal with someone who's a pain in the neck, who's a fraudster and that sort of stuff, when there's so many great people? I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with fraudsters. I want to deal with good people. And I remember when ParkLogic was first founded, and I sat down with my business partner and I said to him exactly that. I said, there's so many good people in this industry. Let's do business with them. And all the fraudsters, someone else could do business with those people because we don't want to. So,
I love it. Where is my bell? Oh,
yeah.
God, I love it. Yes.
And it comes from a series of, like, I have this little triangle that I developed. Let me tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, when I say many years ago, I was in high school, and I remember this to this day, that I was sitting in the car next to my dad, and we were waiting at the front of my sister's primary school, and she was much younger than me, and I was pretty upset. And my dad goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." In fact, I still remember the song playing. It was "Hungry Like a Wolf" by Duran Duran. But anyway, that's going back. And he said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And I then began to relate to him. There was obviously, at that age, there's friends problems and all that sort of stuff. And he said something to me which was really important. And he never realized how important it was going to be for my life. It was, "Michael, just be consistent. Be consistent." He said, "No one can stop you from being their friend." You see, even if we disagree with each other, Helmut, and all that sort of stuff, I can make a choice to still be your friend, and you can't stop me. I will be friendly towards you. And he said, just be consistent. And it was like something went off in my head. And I remember in my 20s, I thought, oh my gosh, that was an amazing life principle. And I began to search for life principles of what I could do and how I could bring them into my businesses and everything. So I developed a little triangle, and it took a lot of soul searching and really thinking about what some life principles. And the first principle was this: be a seeker of the truth. And what do I mean by that? Is be transparent, be open. The basis of all relationships is truth. If I tell you lies all the time, there's no relationship. It's exactly the same thing with clients at ParkLogic. If I put in the interface and all that sort of stuff, they can log into a whole bunch of lies. I make up numbers and everything. Then where's the relationship? I've just undermined that. So be a seeker of the truth is also, when you see numbers, begin to try to understand them. Don't just look at the numbers. Understand what is happening. And that's actually quite difficult to do. So people say, what's ParkLogic's core competency? And I think one of our key core competencies is we're analysts. We try to understand the numbers and then reveal that to clients to help them on their journey. So being a seeker of the truth, that's the first thing. So the bottom left-hand corner of here is truth. And the bottom right-hand corner is trust. At the moment, like, trust in any relationship takes time. Absolutely. So we're committed to clients in the long term, not just the short term, how much money we can make now. We're committed in the long term to a client. And we want to work with that client and develop a strong relationship with that client. Not because we can get more out of them, it's because we can help them. That's what we're trying to do. As I said to my daughter, I took her to a domain conference, and she came with me to all my business meetings. And wow. She said to me beforehand, she goes, so who are we going to sell to? I said, no one. She goes, what do you mean? I said, she goes, but who are we going to sell to? We have all these meetings and everything. I can see in the schedule and everything. So she had my schedule. Yes. And I said, we're going to sit down with people. We're going to listen to them. And we're going to see if we can help them. That's what we're going to do. And if we can help them, that's great. And by the way, helping them could be recommending they go elsewhere. But we're going to work out if we can help them to the best of our ability. And what we found is that truth and trust became foundational aspects of my life. So, for instance, if you become a ParkLogic customer, I don't know any other company that does this, but you can log into the interface and you can see, oh, I earned $1,000 last night. ParkLogic's commission was $200, and I was paid $800. You'll know exactly how much we earn. It's transparent. No other company does that. And we've done that since day one. And that's something we're pretty proud of, is putting that out there. Because we see that as part of being truthful. Then the other end of the triangle, by the way, is learning. Be fanatical about learning. Be fanatical about innovation. Be fanatical about when you blow it on the truth and the trust, because you're not going to get it right all the time. Then apologize, learn from your mistake, so you don't repeat it, and then work with the person moving forward. Yeah, like technology goes wrong sometimes. Sometimes things stuff happens.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You say sorry, you make amends, and you move on together. That's what you do. You move on together. Yeah. So truth, trust, and learning. If you look at that little triangle on the bottom of the triangle between truth and trust, the more you're a seeker of the truth, the more you have a long-term focus with people. And you have it with the focus of trust with people, not because what you can get out of them, but what you can contribute to them. When you have that focus, you develop strong relationships. So we've had clients who have been with us for 15 years, and they're not clients, they're partners.
And in essence, they are. In essence, they are. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the big difference between a client and a partner. A partner is a person you can sit down with and look at, say, problems with a particular domain or something like that, and begin to understand what's going on and work on the issue together. And that's a partnership. So then if you look at the other side of the triangle, which you've got, say, truth and learning, the more you're seeking the truth and the more you have a learning mentality, the more empowered you will become. The more empowered you'll become. And it's an important thing. So the thing we try to do is, like when we had the Zoom meeting just recently, is being open about numbers, being transparent and things like that. By the way, being open and transparent doesn't mean I have to hang all the dirty washing out on the line and so everyone can see it. As well. Being open and have learning, which means we're committed not only to our own learning. I talked about my own every day I do, but committed to our clients learning. We want them to learn because we know the more we can help them out, then the better. So if you go to mcl.club, masterclass lessons, that's what it stands for. You can go to masterclasslessons.com. I put up there a 13-part series, I think it's 13-part series on domain monetization. It's a whole video series, and we give it away. You sign up for it, and you can just go there, and you can watch one video after another, which will teach you from the very beginning of domain monetization right through the high end, exactly how we do what we do. And we're very transparent with that.
Maybe we can put one or two videos. I can create a separate channel on DNMom.
Sure.
I don't know if you heard of DNMom, dnmom.com. DNMom. Yes. Well, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it's but anyway, on the other side, on the other side of the triangle, you got trust. Sorry, I messed it up. So truth and learning, you have enlightenment. Enlightenment. The more truthful you are, the more you have a learning mentality, the more enlightened you will become. Because you're not leaping to conclusions, you're seeking the truth. Many years ago, we had a guy start with ParkLogic, and every day he'd call me up and say, "Oh my gosh, it's a disaster! Like, what's happening with this client?" And every day,
Yes.
And I'd keep on saying to him, "What do the numbers say? What are the numbers? We're seeking the truth. We're seeking enlightenment from the facts. Facts don't care how much you feel." The facts are the facts, So, but understand the facts, And I remember like 6 months later, I was in another meeting with this guy, and someone was panicking about some numbers, and he said, "What do the numbers say? What do the numbers say? What are the base numbers?" And I thought he finally got it. He understands that truth and learning is all about enlightenment. So trust and learning is all about empowerment. We see that as we develop trusting relationships, and as we assist those clients and things like that in their learning, then we'll all become empowered. We'll become better domainers. We'll become better investors.
Michael, later, if we can get to Waza. So he wishes to come on. He wishes to come on board. He has around 1,000 traffic domain names.
Yep.
Is that enough for the starters?
Yeah. So let me define first of all what a traffic domain is.
Yes.
Okay. A traffic domain is any domain that has at least one unique visitor per day.
Oh. Yeah. That is a nice definition. At least one
unique visitor per day. Yeah. A lot of people think traffic domains are like, you got to have thousands of unique visitors and things like that. No, it says one unique visitor per day. And that's the definition that we use as a traffic domain. And there's scientific basis in that, why that's important, right? We do not create traffic for your domains.
Of course.
Okay, that's very important to understand, because a lot of people think, okay, I'll put them on ParkLogic and I'm suddenly going to make all this money. The answer is, if you have no traffic, there's no traffic to optimize and there's no traffic to monetize. So, like, there's no traffic, there's no traffic. If you buy a whole lot of new GTLDs, like .xyzs, and you just invent them out of your head, and you think, I got 1,000 domains, then you may have 1,000 domains, but it doesn't mean you have lots of traffic. Yeah, so the question is then, are they domains with traffic, one unique visitor per day? Yeah, so that's the thing to look at. Now, the other issue I'd like to tackle as a part of that question is, there's a lot of people in the forums and things like that, they say, "Oh, domain monetization is dead," or "parking's dead."
Yes.
Oh, Frank, it's good to see you too. Yeah, they say the domain monetization is dead. It couldn't be further from the truth. We have clients earning 6 figures every single month from monetizing their traffic with us. Yeah, it's just like lots of money. And you may say, well, why is that the case? I began to ponder why people are saying it's dead.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons why is because it's very accountable. You either have traffic to your domain or you don't. And if you don't, you know what? You can't monetize it. It's very accountable. As distinct from, say, if I was doing domain sales. Domain sales, I look at it for some people, not all people, right? This is a generalization. It's almost like buying a ticket to the lottery. I'm going to buy a ticket to the lottery, so I'll buy a domain name, and someone's going to buy that for $10,000 one day. That's the mentality, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you double your odds? You buy 2 tickets to the lottery.
Of course.
So you buy 2 domains. I've now doubled the chances of getting that $10,000, prize, whatever. And then someone goes, oh boy, these are worth $10,000 each. Clearly, because I've decided they are. What I'll do is I'm going to buy 100 of them. I'm now a millionaire.
Absolutely. Bang.
You're a millionaire in your own mind. You haven't sold anything yet.
Yes.
You haven't sold a thing yet. So you bought tickets to the lottery. That's all you've done. And I did some analysis, and I did a presentation at NamesCon. I think it was the last physical NamesCon. I did a keynote, and I did a whole lot of numbers, and I worked out that the domain sales side of the industry is underwater by $300 million a year, or some number like that. In other words, there's a whole lot of people speculating on domains that they should really drop, but they're speculating to the tune of about $300 million a year. And that means they're mortgaging their houses or whatever, or putting the domains in the credit cards and that sort of stuff. And out of that, there was a key number that came out of that, and that analysis, and it was what is it? It was like 0.4. I should look it up actually. It was like 0.42%, I think it was. And what 0.42% represented was the stock turn for the entire domain industry. And what do I mean by stock turn? It's I think I'm misquoting myself here. Just give me 1 second,
No
because I really want to get that number right. The stock turn is what percentage of the domains does the average portfolio sell per year?
Okay.
And that number is absolutely vitally important. Here.
Absolutely, and that is for a portfolio of at least 1,000 domain names. Yes.
Yeah, it's an average. Yeah, 0.42%. I've looked here. It was the shortfall is 435 million, by the way. It's not 300. It's 435 million. Okay, and it was 0.42% stock turn. So if you look at your own portfolio, if the average is 0.42%, and you're selling 3% of your domains a year, there's only one reason why that will happen: is you're not selling it for high enough price. You need to be increasing the prices. The reason why you're selling more, and the quality of your domains, if they're all sort of equal quality, right? But if you're selling 0.1% of your domains per year, that means, either one of two things: you're just trying to sell for a too high a price, or no one's just interested in your domains. Therefore, you need to drop them. Drop a whole lot of domains and get some better quality domains so you can get up to the 0.42%.
So either adjust the pricing or
drop the domains.
Or drop the domains. Be honest to yourself and kill the dreamer.
You're not running a hobby, you're running a business, right?
Absolutely.
So take a business approach. So 0.42% is a critical number. Yeah, so take a look at your domains and be very honest with yourself and say, how many did I sell last year? Now, there's another thing to add into here. Let's imagine you're getting 3% of inquiries are getting inquiries, but so you really get a lot of inquiries, and you're also getting a lot of inquiries, and you're selling a lot of domains. That means you're selling them cheaply. Right? But if you're getting no inquiries and you're not selling any domains, right, that means you've got crap. Your domains aren't wanted. And so 0.42%, that's a key number. Look at your portfolio and say, how many do I sell per year? But you think about this, like just the metrics. It's actually a really good topic.
This is a really good topic. Yes.
Yeah, this is what I want to share at London Summit. By the way, this stuff
Fantastic.
and this is what I lose the sleep over. If you think about it, roughly speaking, and this is just rough guidelines, there's about a 3% growth per year in domain registrations across the world globally. 50% of that goes to com.net.org still. About 25% goes to CCTLDs.
Yes.
And the other 25% is going to new GTLDs. Roughly speaking, I haven't done the latest numbers, and that's when I did this. This is a couple of years ago. And so if you think about that, if you've got a domain portfolio, you're trying to pitch into that 3% space. It makes all that competitive environment. That's what you're trying to do. And that's a tough gig. Like some people do it really well, and they're quite smart about it and all that sort of stuff, and the domains they bought and everything. But you're actually playing in that tiny little razor thin margin of growth and things like that. And how to best do that is so important. That's on domain sales. But on traffic monetization, the thing I like about traffic monetization is, and my wife told me this, she said, the thing I like about it is it's like clockwork. I said, what do you mean by that, honey? And she said, every month the money comes in. You see, the problem with domain sales, it sounds like I'm negative towards domain sales, and I'm not, by the way. I'm very positive about domain sales. I just sold a domain for 4 figures just the other day, in fact. But on domain sales, it's very lumpy. So your cash flow is it suddenly goes up because you sold the domain, but you don't sell a domain for a few months or something like that, and you suddenly sell one, and then you don't sell something. And it's very hard to be predictive in your cash flow for something that's so lumpy as that. Versus traffic monetization, you know exactly how much you're going to get through every single month.
Michael?
It's very predictive, yes.
How many domain names do you have yourself? As an investment?
I don't actually know.
Approximately.
Thousands. We have,
thousands.
Sorry, for me personally, I need to separate some things out. For
Yes.
me personally, I have about 500. I used to have tens of thousands. I sold down a long time ago. And in ParkLogic, we have thousands of domains.
Okay. Yes.
And we use them for testing.
Are those all both ParkLogic's ones and yours?
Yeah. So I have some personally.
Yes.
And then I have domains in ParkLogic, and we always test on our domains before we release anything to customers. We do not go and actively buy domains.
Yes.
And there's a philosophical position in that because we thought that's competing against customers.
So where did you buy them?
We typically, if we find a portfolio, let's imagine we need some more domains because over time it may sort of drop off, and we need some more domains for testing purposes, then we would go to one of our clients and say, hey, do you have some domains for sale? We pay a fair price for them, and we use those. We do something like that. Oh. Yeah. So to me, that makes sense to do that. Like, if one of our clients wants to sell some domains so we can do more testing, then why would we give the money to them versus some stranger?
Makes sense. Absolutely.
It's helping them out. To me, but we haven't bought domains for quite some time, and like I say, simply because, and we're not in the drops or anything like that.
So Michael, We are 1 hour, 5 minutes in, 4 minutes in.
Oh, wow.
Let us
Oh,
let us return to Vaza. So he has these 1,000 domain names,
Yeah.
hopefully traffic domain names.
Yeah.
He goes, signs up at ParkLogic.com. He creates an account and he says that, hey, I saw you, Michael, on the YouTube, on HostMaria's YouTube video.
Yeah.
Bang. Does he need
What
to?
happens?
Yes. What happens after that?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. So what will typically happen is you'll then be contacted by a person.
Yes.
His name is Matt Herbert, part of our team. He'll reach out to you and say, "I'd love to set up a phone call." Typically speaking,
Okay.
and because we want to get to know clients, and so he'll contact you. He'll try to understand what your goals are. He'll try to understand your domains and things like that, and everything. And if we believe that we can help you with your 1,000 domains, by the sounds we probably could, can help you, then we would recommend that we then put them on the platform. We'll give you a set
Yes.
of unique name servers. So you just change the name servers. You don't even.
And that was an interesting part. Unique name servers. Yes, please carry on. Yes.
Yeah, so unique name servers. So you just change the name servers, and then as soon as we see the first piece of traffic from those domains, they'll automatically be added to your account.
So is that correct? That basically I do not have to add the domains to my ParkLogic account.
No, you don't
It
have
is
to.
enough just to change my unique names. Sorry, my
That's
unique
correct.
name server.
You can add them manually if you want, but you
Yes.
don't have to. You don't have to.
What I did myself, I did start changing the name servers first.
Yep.
And of course, it is a global process. It can take less or more time. And then I started adding those domain names.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yes.
So once you do that, then to the system, then the stats will start to come through, and you'll see the numbers will. Typically, we have it takes a few days for numbers to start to populate through, and the reason why is this is the optimization process. Number one is, say I'll pick on, say, one of the Google companies. You got a Google backed company. They have to get the data from Google. They have to go along, process it.
Yes.
They have to then release it. We pick up that data. We then have to let the world spin.
Okay.
Because in optimization, you want to make sure that lunchtime in Berlin is matched up with lunchtime in LA. So the world has to move because that's part of optimization. Yeah, so then we let the world spin, and we're collecting data constantly from all of our partners. And we put that all together. And in the interface, you'll see two key numbers begin to populate. The first one is URLs, raw traffic. The second number is views, is what the advertisers regard as real traffic. Then you got clicks and all that sort of stuff. Then you got your revenue number, and you can sort of populate that and see that interface.
Shall we have a look on my account? I'll be honest, and then you can see, hey, reality. You think you've got, and I can share my screen, or you can share yours. You have my account. You can go bluntly honest about everything. I love transparency myself as well. I hate made up numbers, as they do not reflect reality, and they put you into dreamland, and dreamland doesn't pay.
That's exactly right. Just give me a second. I'll just get your account up here. If you're happy for me to share the numbers,
Absolutely.
I haven't looked at your account, by the way. It's one of our guys.
And by the way, before we start, I do. So they are your friends. Probably you know them. Squad Help. And it is very strange that ParkLogic.co, that they've taken trademark domain ParkLogic. And Squad Help, they are well known for they are filtering the domain names, and they know you.
That's right.
Come on, how did they accept this domain name? It is really strange. Really strange.
Yeah,
so you might just write it down and say, "Hey guys."
Thank you. I find I remember I was writing my blog. I haven't written for like the last probably about 8 months or something like that. But I was writing several articles every single week,
Yes.
for a long time on my blog, and it was Whizbang's blog, it was called.
Oh.
And you go to michaelgilmour.com.
Yes.
And and then someone told me, did you know someone's got a typo of your domain? So I wrote an article on it and how excited I was for that, because clearly my blog has become so successful now
Yes.
that it was worthwhile buying a typo of my domain. So it was great.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me just see if I can share my screen. So
Oh,
if I
yes.
click on, where do I click share? Okay, there it
Share,
is.
and then you will, instead of rather sharing the whole screen, you would choose a tab or window.
Yeah, okay. So I can choose,
And then
oh my gosh, okay, I've got too many screens. So can I choose,
yes, you can. Absolutely.
can you see that?
And let me remove
There it is.
this one, and it is coming in. Yes, and absolutely, it is it. And let me remove. Can you zoom in, please?
Zoom in.
Yes. So control and just mouse roll. Maybe 150%. Yes, and even more. And that if people are watching on mobile phones, then it will be easier.
Yeah, not a problem. Okay, so this is the ParkLogic interface right here.
Yes.
This is the existing one. This is not the new one. We've got a new one coming,
Okay.
which I'll should demonstrate to you on the show here. Give your viewers a sneak preview. But if you take a look
Thank
at
you.
this here, this is your account.
Okay.
And so when I take a look at the data down here, so this is raw traffic hitting your domains.
Yes.
This is how many views you have. You may say, why is it so different? Why, like, there's 9,822 pieces of traffic, 35.
Yes. So what is the difference? So I can see URLs and then the
Yep.
views. Yes.
It's because we're scumbags and we're taking all of that traffic and we're monetizing
Oh,
ourselves.
no.
No, it's not that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Let me tell you what it is. Raw traffic is raw traffic. And it means it may have been a graphics request. It could be torrents
So
requests.
your URLs are actually raw traffic.
Raw traffic.
Okay.
It's raw traffic. Views are what the advertiser recognizes as
Yes.
that.
Okay.
When people see the numbers, when they initially see, say, something like this here, and they go, yeah, I knew ParkLogic was stealing my traffic. I knew they were. We're being transparent. We're telling you have a large volume of traffic. Advertisers are only recognizing a tiny amount of it. This is not atypical. This is not atypical, okay?
Of course.
Then you have clicks. A click is what the advertisers report back as a click. So you got 35 views, 30 clicks. You have a very high click-through rate, okay? I'll come back to earnings per click and everything. Why it's zero? It's actually not zero. It's rounded off. It's just I think if you download the stats.
Sorry, Michael. So what are clicks? What are clicks? And those who are watching, maybe we can quickly show. Maybe you could open my domain list to our viewers, and then we can show what are the domain
I'll
names.
do that as well. Yeah, what's a click?
Yes.
That's a really good question. I wish one day someone could tell me what a click is.
Okay.
Now let me. I said that facetiously. Technically speaking, a click is when someone clicks on, say, an ad on your page. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, if you think of it like that. But when you look at the numbers, and I think in that Zoom call, I just touched on it for a second. I said, like, here's click-through rate going up, earnings per click goes down. When earnings per click goes up, click-through rate goes down. They do this dance. If you ask me, in terms of Google companies, it's almost like a function of their treasury department determining clicks than it is a function of the actual user behavior. But that's a separate issue. That's a much longer conversation.
So in this case, if I have, let us say on Tuesday 19th, I had 35 views.
Yep, 30
then
clicks.
And 30 clicks, then the number is too high for the clicks now.
Yeah, that's a very high number. 85.7% is a very high click-through rate. Yeah, typically speaking, it's much less than that. Now, earnings per click is how much did you get for each one of those clicks? Like, it is actually not zero. The number is just rounded off.
Okay.
We rounded off percent.
Yes. Yes.
But in the calculations of revenue, it's actually we use a much higher precision. So you can see even though it says zero,
So
you're still in
so
50%.
EPC is earnings per click,
Earnings per click
and then the next one.
is
No, no.
normalized RPM. Now,
Okay.
the normalized RPM is the revenue divided by the raw traffic times 1,000,
Okay.
right? It's the raw traffic versus RPM is revenue divided by views times 1,000. Now, why is that important? It's actually a really, really important number, this one. And the reason why is when traffic comes into our systems, and we say shoot some off to say CEDO and some off to Park and Crew and everything like that. We count how much traffic we send to each provider for each domain for each day in those
Yes.
microseconds.
Okay.
And the only number that is important to us is the revenue they report back. The only reason why we have views and clicks here and all that sort of stuff is because people expect it. We actually view those as largely they're fungible. They're not real numbers. So we count it all. So we know exactly how much traffic we sent. We know how much revenue that traffic generated. And because we know those two numbers, that's the only number we can rely upon is normalized RPM.
Okay. So
RPM,
normalized RPM would be the main one. Yes.
yeah, normalized RPM is the key one.
Yes.
Uh, and you think about it, I remember years ago, there was a company called Domain Sponsor. Some of you may remember it. And they came to the market and they said, we pay out the highest RPMs of any company. Well, that's easy to do. All you do is just filter the traffic more, which means the denominator gets less,
Yes.
which means, of course, the RPM is going to go up. So it depends how you count the traffic. So we go around this by only worrying about URLs, normalized RPM. We're about to actually, like I said, change a lot of these metrics. We've been doing, for like last 12 months, a whole lot of research, and we're about to release a metric called the monetizable RPM, which is different again. Which at another call we can go through that. Okay, so then you have your revenue there. So if we take a look here, you can see what's been going on with your revenue and everything. And by the way, anything in orange is estimated data. So that slowly turns up over.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's estimated. So you can then sort of say, okay, what's going on here? If I just pull this back.
And in general, we can say this portfolio is, in general, it is too small for ParkLogic.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you take a look at this, trend line to all the graphs and all that sort of stuff, so apply that and there's a trend line. And by the way, if you want to, you can click on any heading and you can, just like your Excel filters.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see that one. Yes.
Yeah, so you've got all of the filters and things like that. Or what I can do is I can say, here's my monthly data. I want to send that to the table, and now it's monthly. Or I say, grab this one and send it here.
And where is daily?
There's the daily data.
Okay. Well, there is a monthly statistics graph. Oh, daily statistics. Oh, of course. Daily.
Yeah. So I can send the monthly statistics to the table, or I can just run my mouse across it.
Okay.
So I can also click on any data point and zoom in, and it shows me the domains that made up that number.
Oh, let us have a look.
Here's your domains. Or for that day, the July the 18th.
Okay.
So if I go to domain statistics, and I can see it as the last 30 days now, and I'll show you all the domains that made up that. Okay, so if I click on a domain, say this one here, and zoom in on it.
Okay, that's cp.b. Yes.
Okay, I can see the data for that domain, but I can also say, okay, what devices did we see? We saw desktop, cell phone, tablets. What operating system is going here? So it's largely Windows. We can see geo region, and here's the geo region refer data. There's
States rather than Belgium.
Yeah, so we can see what's going, where the referrers, what domains the referrers are coming
Yes.
from, so a lot from Bing. So there's lots of information we can look at for a domain. I'll just jump across here. You've also, you can have portfolios, a portfolio list. So you can then look at the portfolios. And if I click on the portfolio, I can edit the portfolio. And, oh, you've already done it. You already see it. So what's happened is you at the top of each page.
Yes.
Yeah, at the top of each page, you can say put a for sale link on there, and you can have it with whoever you like. There's Cedo here, if you want to, but you can have Squad Help or Dan.com or whatever.
Is my URL correct there?
No idea off the top of my head.
Yes.
I get no idea. You can do that, or in here we actually have an area for sales. You probably don't have any offers, I'm guessing, but we also have you have no offers at the moment. Well, we actually have a really, dare I say, primitive sales system, not one we're proud of, I must admit.
Yes.
But we don't charge anything for it. No commission.
No commission on sales.
No commission. No, we don't charge anything for sales. The reason why is because, well, I'm not saying it's going to be there forever, but for the last numbers of years, we have not charged any commission on sales. So if you left it as the ParkLogic default sales system, there's no commission. So if someone comes to your domain, wants to buy, it could be a link at the top there, and you'll see in here the sales information. But anyway, so that's it there. What I think would be really good to do would be, do you think your viewers are like a sneak preview of the next interface?
Yes, but may I actually share my screen a bit before?
Yeah, sure.
That would be and
just as you share your screen, let me get it ready.
Yes, I will share my screen, and then I can put back yours on. So, Michael, here's my screen, and let me zoom in.
Yeah.
So I can see that. So okay, these are my domain names, and my viewers know I invest only in 2-letter CCTLDs, only 2-letter CCTLDs.
I love CCTLDs, by the way.
So let us say av.pe, and I'm going into that one and looking in. So that is something I need to know, and domain settings, and I have put up that it is for sale.
Okay. Yep.
And but once I go there, you can see 3 redirects. Oh, now it shows this premium domain name might be for sale.
Domain name
but
for sale.
But it is very rare that. Okay, now, and what is SimCast? I understand that SimCast is yours.
Yes, it is.
And SimCast traffic is not monetized. I understand. Yes. What is SimCast, please? Yes. And
That's a very good question. Let me explain. There's a new piece of technology we're releasing. When you first add your domains, they will end up at SimCast until we determine who's the owner, and then we have to push up the switch servers. There's a bit of a time delay.
Yes.
I must admit, I was surprised your traffic went to SimCast this time, but that's a separate issue. Okay, let me explain what SimCast is and where it came from. I've made literally millions of dollars off domain name and PPC, pay-per-click revenue, over many years. But it's the stupidest business model on the planet. Let's think about it. What we all do is we do this. I hope I get a click. I hope I get a click. Damn, I didn't get a click. You tear the user up and you throw them away. That's what we do. We're tearing users up. But it's worse than that. I hope I get a click. I hope I get a click. I got a click. That's great. And we still tear the user up and throw them away. We don't have a way of getting back to the user. And so we're constantly in the new user acquisition mode. It'd be like running a business and never, ever having clients. You only have new people at your business. You'll go bankrupt really fast. You've got to develop that relationship and stuff.
Yes.
So it's been something that's really annoyed me for a long time. And so I end up, we end up going on it's been a long journey to build what we call SimCast. SimCast is a destination. It's actually a portal, and people can sign up to receive like news information and that sort of stuff. And so our goal is that when a person signs up, let's imagine from one of your domains was a pv.be or something like that.
Yes.
If that traffic comes to SimCast and they then go along and sign up, then we're going to give the percentage of the lifetime value of that user. So every time you do a news broadcast or something like that to that user, and they end up coming back to SimCast, they interact with SimCast and that sort of stuff, then we're going to give you a percentage of the lifetime value. SimCast is starting to come out of its, call it beta phase at the moment. But what you'll find in the ParkLogic interface, we see later in this year, you'll see another chart which will be how many subscribers has your domains brought. And more than that,
to SimCast.
And then
SimCast,
what revenue did they earn you? And you'll see that go up over time, because as there's more and more subscribers.
Are you saying SimCast in general is paid subscription-based news site?
Well, it's not necessarily subscription, and it's basically any value that those users generated, we'll give you a percentage of that value.
So what those people pay money for at SimCast?
Well, if they click on an ad on SimCast,
okay,
they've generated revenue.
I see.
If they look at the video
yes.
on SimCast, they've generated revenue and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me give you a picture of this. Let's imagine you have a domain that has 100 unique visitors per day. We're going to make the maths really simple.
Yes.
100 unique visitors per day, and 1% of those signs up for to receive news alerts. 1%. That means at day 100, you have 100 people that are subscribed via your domain name, and you still have the 100 people coming to your domain name each day. At day 200, you have 200 subscribers that you're now going to get revenue from. At day 300, you have 300 subscribers. Sure, there's an attrition rate and all that sort of stuff. That happens, right? But the goal is to create an upward pressure on revenue. Typically speaking, in monetization, it's a downward pressure because there is more and more people. Like with a domain, you lose the links. People no longer linking to the domain, so there's a downward pressure on the traffic. What we wanted to do was push against that and create an upward pressure on subscribers. So you'll find in the interface there'll be like how many subscribers your domain generate, how much revenue did they generate, and here it is for you, which is an interesting concept because what it also means is this. At the moment, domains are only monetized with PPC, typically, or zero-click. But if you think about that, that means there's a whole advertising world domains are never exposed to. Video advertising, interstitials, banner ads, organic search results, all sorts of things that never exposed to. And suddenly with SimCast, your domains will be exposed to. So SimCast, ultimately, it will be competing for the traffic. It's going to compete against all the different parking companies, all the different zero-click companies for the traffic to get subscribers. And
at the same time, SimCast pays only for subscribers.
Correct.
Not for
only if it's subscribed.
Not per 1,000. So can I choose not to have SimCast?
Yeah, we have.
I do know that SimCast gets lots of traffic, and I would suspect it. So you are getting my numbers show 3.5 million a month,
We get
and
more than that. We get more than that.
probably majority of it comes from the main from
Yeah, the
ParkLogic,
majority of it actually comes from us.
of course.
It comes from our testing portfolio and that sort of stuff. Um, and it gets a lot of traffic at the moment, and we do a lot of testing with SimCast. And by the way, SimCast is not like a WordPress page.
Yes.
We built the entire platform from scratch. And why did we do that? Because as a key part of it is how do you determine whether someone is a bot or a human? So every piece of traffic that comes through SimCast is scored. Every single behavior is monitored, down to did the mouse move. Like
Okay.
there's like on the page, there's all sorts of stuff it looks at, and the goal is to protect advertisers. And that's what we're always trying to do. So there's a lot of technology built into SimCast, and the reason why I know a lot about it is I built it. So I personally
Yes.
coded it. But anyway, yeah. So it's SimCast is something. It's been it's it's one of those projects that we had. It started off. We call it in our skunk works, in our learning area, in our, you know what? I wonder if we could do this. And and so I just began building it like on the weekends or late at night, just have fun, just because I don't mind coding and that sort of stuff. I find it very relaxing. Um, and so I just began coding the thing, and across a period of time, then we had to educate advertising networks, like what the heck is this domain traffic? A lot of advertising networks have no idea what domain traffic is, and they don't believe the volumes. They think that's impossible and this sort of stuff. So it's a really interesting thing. And I actually owned the domain SimCast for a long time, long time ago. But I first had it, and so we thought, oh, what domain will we use? I will use this one. Use SimCast, and it actually stood for simultaneous broadcasting. That's what it actually stood for.
Okay.
And I then found out after we sort of put it on there that there's a lot of story around SimCast, but it's, to me, if you ask me, SimCast is actually the future. SimCast is the future of monetization. It's looking at lifetime value of users. It's one of those things where I don't know how fast we're going to get there. Um, in terms of really ramping up the revenue for clients through
Yes.
subscribers, because there's some interesting things you can unpack there too. Is that you could potentially, and once again, we haven't sorted out our business models exact on this. You could potentially generate a whole lot of subscribers, sell off your domains, and you still have an income coming through.
So, if I understand it correctly, you are creating an advertising ecosystem itself,
Oh, very much so.
a separate planet
Yeah, yeah,
where advertisers and where everybody can meet, and you
yeah,
own
yeah.
that planet.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, like I said, there's a lot of things inside of SimCast. It's very, very experimental, and we see that we'll be exposing a lot more traffic to SimCast as probably shortly after NamesCon, and we're releasing things like that. But let me give you a sneak preview.
Absolutely. Can I
At
can I
another
show it?
thing. I know
Can I
our time.
put your screen on our screen? Yes.
Yeah,
Bang.
so okay, good.
Apogee.
Okay,
Apogee.
apogee is the top part of the flight of a rocket.
Okay.
That's where the term comes from. So this is a new interface we have. This is actually on our development server. So if it doesn't work, it means that someone else has been working on it. This is
Yes.
a dummy portfolio. So um, this is a dashboard system. Okay, it looks just like the other one. Um, And so you can do all the things you like to do and all that sort of stuff, or drop downs and see. But it's very different in terms of these two buttons up here. In every single object on the page, they have these two buttons. This one here is, I want to know the data that made up this chart. Here it is. There's all the data. Or I can click on this and download the data that made up that chart. And you can download it. And so you've got access to all of your data all the time for any single object on the page. But the other thing is, in the top right-hand corner here, there's a little icon that allows you to go into design view. And design view allows you to do this sort of thing. I want to go and change how this looks. So I don't like it like that. I want it the way I want it. Therefore, I'm going to go and drag everything around. And there we go. So now I can create my own dashboard completely.
Yes.
And it's really as simple as that. And because it actually came from when I was on vacation one time. I was just sitting down and saying, there's got to be a better way of doing all this stuff, like with domain investors. I was just getting so frustrated. And I came up with the concept of Apogee. And so then I thought, well, that's all really good, but wouldn't it be really nice if I can create, say, a new tab? And I'm going to call it Helmuts. Your new tab. What color do you like?
Let us go with blue.
Blue?
Yes.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
blue.
Fantastic. Yes.
Okay. Okay, just sort it on the right hand side. And I'll click back. And there it is. We created a new tab. So
Okay.
I can click on that new tab, and there's nothing there at the moment. But I can then, so I'm creating my new tab or my new dashboard, and I can say I only want my sort of the end of month type things there. So
Yes.
there's the monthly one. So I'm going to copy this object, copy the object.
Copy.
Yep. I'm now going to edit the object, and I'll drop it on the main dashboard in the Helmuts tab.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm going to, instead of a column chart, I'm going to make it an area chart. So I click over here, and there it is.
There it is, yes.
Yeah, so I can then just drag that around. I can do whatever I want with this. I can then edit it, and I can say, yeah, no, I made a mistake. I want it to be a column chart now. Or I can look at the variables. And in the variables here, there's all sorts of data you can then alter if you want to. If you want to be, it's a very powerful system. You don't have to do this, but I can do things such as, let me think. See how it's says start left?
Okay.
Start left, that's the left-hand drop-down. So I'm going to say I've started at position 1, I haven't started at position 2 because I'm interested in views. Views starting rather than URLs, which is position 1. So now it'll always be starting at views because that's what I'm interested in. So you can configure this to do whatever you want it to do. And you can have all sorts of charts on here and everything like that. The other thing we said was, well, hang on a second here. Some people don't have all of their domains with ParkLogic, sadly, but they don't. For whatever reason, that's okay. So wouldn't it be nice if they could just add, say, a new object to the page, and let's say search for parking crew monthly data. They want to have their parking crew monthly data, and I want to drop it on the Helmuts tab. Go back there. And I'm now pulling in parking crews, monthly data, all the accounting records, everything from my parking crew account. And that's live. Yeah, so
everybody can create whatever dashboards you wish to have.
You can create whatever you like. So what we did was we created a system where you could pull in data from anywhere and say, I want it to be displayed in this manner. whether it's a chart, whether it's a table of data, whatever you like, and you can pull it in. You could pull in your stock market information. You could pull in an RSS feed with all the latest domain news. You could pull in your registrar data in here of all your renewals and have it on one dashboard. And so that's what we end up building. And this is, like I said, as worse as it will get. And it's just going to improve from here. So we're doing lots of different things to this. So if you look at demographics, it's, it's all donut charts in this case. So it's a tremendously flexible system. In fact, in here, I didn't go through it, but there's another icon, which is, here's all the API calls. And I can edit one of these API calls. I don't know what this one does. Returns the final daily data aggregated by domain for an account. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. And I can change all the values and what's returned and everything like that by the API. What it means, though, is that if I wanted to, I can actually add new API calls in there, ones that ParkLogic didn't think of. You don't have to go to this level, but it really gives an incredible amount of power to the system. Yeah, so, and in your profile, you've got all your profile data and everything like that for the ParkLogic credentials and external APIs and all sorts of things you can get access to. But yeah, and in here, if you ever get confused, I can go to, if I'm editing this, and I can say, how do I, actually, I'll go to analytics. And if I'm editing this, and I think, I don't know how to do this, you click the help icon, there's a full help system.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can say, give me the objects, how to add a new object on the page. This is how you do it. There's not much to it. It's like, that's it. We try to make it as easy as possible. So it's not like you have to become a rocket scientist or something like that, scientist. Yeah, so we spent quite a bit of time working away at this, and we see that it's going to become a dashboard. It's a dashboard focused on domain investors. Of what do you want? It's not like what we think you want, therefore we're going to put you into a box and you have to use our dashboard, but it's what do you want? And ultimately what we want is, what we want anyway, is everyone, our new website will be coming live shortly, is just be inspired. We want the domain community to be inspired. You see, domain investors and you, Helmuts, you're the hero of your journey, not us. You're the hero. And if we can provide some tools.
What is it on Amazon? Bad Boys? What was it about superheroes?
There was Bad Boys.
Yes, it is not me. You are the hero.
Yeah, you're the hero, and it's not about us. If we can provide some tools to help you out, that's great. But it's all about how do we help you,
Michael?
And that's our goal.
A question.
Yeah.
So I thought I will have a better traffic, at least a bit better traffic. Okay, it is what it is. I still love my domain names, and I'm definitely not dropping any of my two-letter CCTLDs, but that's the real traffic. Okay, it is it. Let us say I'm a bit greedy. And I want to try to earn some more money. So I have few communities of 100 to 300 people a day visiting. And I'm thinking, what if I did set up the script so whenever anybody clicked on the website, it would redirect, it would open a new tab and would redirect person to one of my domain names. Would that be a fraud?
No, that would be extremely risky. And why is that? The question is, did the user actually try to get to your domain, or were they pushed to your domain?
They were pushed. To it.
If they're pushed to your domain, then the user intent is not there.
Okay.
That means the user doesn't want to be there. That means what is the value to the advertisers on that page? Very little. That
Okay.
means
I see.
you just follow through the logic of the
Absolutely, yes.
So, so there's no value to the advertisers on that page. Therefore, the advertisers, your what's the word I'm after? Um, you're taking money out of the ecosystem potentially
Okay.
because it's very low user intent for something like that. I know people who do that sort of thing, but it becomes very risky. And why do I say why is it risky? Because it's very low advertiser intent. You could end up getting your DRID banned. Your DRID is your domain registrant ID. Every domain investor has one of these at Google. As soon as you set up a parking account, then you have a domain registrant ID.
Ah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And let's imagine you were pushing traffic to your domains. Then I would say in a case like that, it won't be very long before, because there's very low user intent, then your domains will get banned at Google. And that's not the nightmare scenario, by the way.
Yes.
Having a domain banned at Google, that happens. Okay. The nightmare scenario is if you get your DRID banned at Google. If you get your DRID banned at Google, you're done in this industry. you really are in terms of monetization of your traffic. At this stage, as much as we may not like that, Google is the big boy in town, and they're very, very careful about protecting advertisers. Right? You do not want to get your DRID banned, your domain registered ID, and you can't just go to a different company, open up a different account, and that sort of stuff, and away you go again. There's ways of tracking this all through and everything like that, which is that the Google uses part of their anti-fraud systems. So you do not want to do that sort of thing.
So does it mean that traffic arbitrage doesn't work?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Because let's imagine
maybe we can explain what is traffic arbitrage.
Yeah, traffic arbitrage is buying low, selling high.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to buy traffic on Bing and I sell it on Google, as an example. Okay?
Absolutely, yes.
And
I'm selling from one advertising network, selling to another one, buying from one.
Yeah, and look, you can do that sort of thing. Once again, there's a lot of risks associated with it. If you get that wrong and you get the traffic quality mix wrong, then you could have spent like $20,000 buying traffic and discover 2 months later it gets clawed back any revenues and you get nothing.
You are in minuses.
Yeah, you're now minus. Yeah, so it's very risky. In fact, there's very few people who do arbitrage. They're very smart people who do arbitrage and have been successful at it over time. There's very few. There's some who have. Don't get me wrong. There's some who have.
Yes. Yeah.
And typically speaking, what people try to do is they buy traffic from tier 2 providers and they try to sell it to a different tier 2 providers. So they don't buy it from like Google, Facebook, or Bing or something like that. They buy it from the other traffic providers, and they then sell it on to onto the tier 2 networks like zero-click networks and stuff. And that can work, but you think about the logic in this. The logic is, why doesn't the person you're buying from the traffic just go along and sell it to the tier 2 provider, tier 2 advertisers? It's very clear. It's a risk mitigation scheme. If I can get your credit card details and I build your credit card because I sold you 10,000 pieces of traffic, I have zero risk. I've sold the traffic.
Okay.
But on the other hand, you now take that traffic and you try to monetize it on a domain name and with other zero-click providers and everything. You may get clicks or you may not. You bear the risk. It's risk. Now, so what do? I'm a smart individual. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you hooked on the heroin. I'm going to give you good quality traffic, Helmut. And when you buy from me, I'm a traffic provider. You buy from me, I'm going to give you great quality traffic. And as you put your credit card details in, you buy $1,000 and another $1,000 worth of traffic and so forth. How am I incentivized? I'm incentivized to dilute the heroin with talcum powder. So I'm now going to put bots in the mix, but you're still going to buy the traffic. And I'm going to find that point where I can use a mixture of my high quality traffic and my low quality junk until you still keep on buying. Yeah, and and I bear no risk doing that, by the way. It's a horrible business model. It's very risky. So arbitrage, like I said, there's some people who've got it right. And I'm not against arbitrage. You think about business is arbitrage.
Yes.
So I'm not against arbitrage. The thing we always say is be very, very focused on adding value to the advertiser. Be very focused on that. The minute you step across that line and go after, dare I say, your own revenue as such, then you're no longer adding value to the advertiser, which means you're done. It'll be game over in no time for you. Yeah. So be very focused on adding how are you adding value to the advertiser. I remember I was called up a number of years ago by a guy, and he said, "Michael, we're going to make so much money together." And that's fantastic. I like making money. That's good. I said, "How are we going to do that?" And he said, "I've written a little program, and I can make the click-through rate to be whatever you want it to be." Oh. And I said, "Pardon me?"
Oh.
He said, "Yeah, there's click all over the pages and all that sort of stuff, and it's a really smart one. It'll never be caught." And I said, "Well,
wow, when you hear the words, we will never be caught."
Never be caught. Yeah. And I said to him, I said, "But where is the value to the advertiser?" He said, "It doesn't matter about them, Michael. We're still going to make a lot of money." And the phone call became very short at that point, and I said, "Yeah, we're not interested in this. We just don't deal with that." And it's because there's people out there like that, and they think they're very smart. But ultimately, as we talked about before, they're fraudulent. That's fraud. A person like that should be put in jail. I'll be quite frank. They should be put in jail. If I invest in something in a business and that business goes under and I lose my investment, I'm okay. Like, that's the risk. That's business, yeah. But on the other hand, if I invest my money in something and the person commits fraud,
yes,
that I've invested in, then I will go after them to the end of the earth, and I will have them prosecuted and I will have them put in jail. And I did exactly that with a bunch of investors. This guy, we invested in a company, and the last time I saw that person was I was saying, "Yes, Your Honor, that is the man." It was like,
wow. Okay.
I will go after them because, to me, the issue is the intent of the person, the character of the person. The character of the person is to commit fraud. They need some time set aside by the law to consider their actions. And that's called be put in jail, to reconsider it and consider their own character. So they do not do that again. That, to me, the whole idea of prison is not to be just to penalize someone, but as rehabilitation. They need to look at themselves. And that's my view of that sort of thing. So I was doing that person a favor by getting them put in jail, and they got put in jail because they committed fraud. And I gave them doing them a favor because they had time paid at the expense of the community to consider their actions. Yeah, it's just I'm pretty hard on that because in the domain industry, and by the way, I have to finish up in a second. In the domain industry, if we do not protect it, what's that line? If good men and women are silent, then evil will run rampant.
Oh, absolutely. That's the main thing that evil wants. Yeah. Just keep quiet. Keep
quiet.
Don't get
Over the years,
involved into the problem situations. Stay
over
away.
the
Stay
years,
away.
I've had my life threatened. Been threatened by fraudsters who said they're going to come after me and my family and things like that. I've had that involved the Secret Service in the end from the U.S. who got involved in that one.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've had all sorts of things because we take a very firm line on this.
I had
Know,
that. I had those threats from First Coin. There is a scam coin. First Coin, one coin. I cannot.
yeah,
From First Coin, they actually openly wrote it to me that I
yeah,
said.
yeah. So there's some really very good people in this industry. I'm not putting
Oh
myself
God.
up there who actively fight to protect it because it's a wonderful industry. It's an amazing industry,
It
and
is a
there's
great
some
one.
phenomenally good people in this industry. And I need to finish up now, though, Helmut. But the thing I'm looking forward to is being at London Summit. London Summit at in August. There was it the
22nd, 23rd, 22nd, 23rd.
20th.
Yes,
I altered my whole around the world trip so I could be there, and I'm looking forward to meeting
it
domain
is
investors
absolute
and
honor.
and
I
to
really
meeting
hope.
you, sitting down and talking, like this. And I think it'll be a wonderful time, at London Summit.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
And do you take venture investors as well? Are you looking for
in,
investors? Are you looking for
in
investors?
project?
Yes, as
No,
ParkLogic. Yes.
no, no, no,
I
no.
could
We
get
have,
I could get in some old English money to have a chat
yeah,
with you.
yeah,
I'm serious. Yes.
yeah. We, I never like to say no to anything, but we have,
I'll get somebody.
yeah,
No
we
worries.
have money in the bank. We have no debt. We have a very clean share registry, and that's been a real strength of ParkLogic. Yeah, we just have we're strong financially, and so that's a happy place to be.
One suggestion is from my side. Uh, After checking few of my links, I really hate the end destinations my domain names take users to. Many of them come up with virus warnings.
Yep.
Many of them come up to, and I haven't done many tests, just few. But what I've seen some Debenhams,
If you
something,
see,
and those are
yep.
and at the end destinations are shady, very shady, and
Yeah,
that
can
is
I
something I really dislike, and that is my main concern. Being my two-letter domain names, okay, there is not much traffic, but two-letter CCTLDs, that is absolutely the top of the mountain. You cannot go higher, and I really hate seeing those users being taken to those websites, as they will not look further. They'll just quickly close down the URL.
I agree. I completely agree with you. Just very, very quickly with that, because
Yes,
I have to actually jump on another call.
yes,
If you see that, then immediately contact us. It means that a bad advertiser has infiltrated one of our partners' networks. And that happens from time to time. And so immediately contact us, and so that we can get rid of that advertiser out of the network.
yes. It
Because
did
they
happen.
need to be,
It did happen when I was talking with Adam Dicker as well on the Monday live stream, and I
yeah,
said, "Hey, I've decided to run a test Spark Logic
yeah,
for a month," and I gave him av.be,
yeah,
and he said, "Oh, 3 or 4 or 5 redirects, and then a virus warning."
yeah,
Oof.
yeah. That does happen
Yes,
from time to time.
of
And
course.
I know we had another client just recently tell us about that. And so we said, okay, so let's go and track down that advertiser and
Let
kill
us
them.
find who they are. Yes, remove them,
And
and
get rid of them.
okay,
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
I'd like to take that offline with you on that, because that's actually a really important thing for us. The other thing we can do is set up a different portfolio which has no zero-click advertisers at all. So it's only
Oh,
only Google and that sort of stuff. So let's take that offline. I hate to say, I spoke to you on a
two,
call a few
two
minutes
hours.
ago.
Oh my God, I
Please
can't
give me a
remember the last
quick
time we.
conversation.
The time flew so fast. Thank you, Michael. Thank you,
No, it's been a pleasure.
and see you in
Okay,
London. And see you in London.
okay. I look forward to it. Talk to you later. Bye.
Awesome. Good night, all.